follow souls to the light of truth. So, and you've probably heard this before, right? Jesus said, I'll make you fishers of men, right? He is walking along the Sea of Galilee, and he sees two brothers. They're just regular guys. They're fishermen, right? Peter and Andrew. And he says, follow me, and I'll send you out to fish for people. Now, they are fishermen. Of course, he is not talking about fish in the Sea of Galilee, right? He's talking about developing some spiritual attraction. He's talking about if and as they raise their awareness, other people will notice, other people will be drawn to them. People are drawn to love like moths are drawn to a flame, right? And so if they can develop these higher order qualities, joy, peace, right? Love, enlightenment, then they will attract people. Matter of fact, they'll attract people. You won't even have to lure and coerce people, but people will just come fall into your net. That's what, right? And we know that. If your radiance is compelling enough, people will appreciate it. And so he's saying, yeah, I'll teach you that. I'll teach you how to be, you know how to fish for fish. I'll teach you how to be fishers of men. And so this ties in with contagious celebration and grace and gratitude and gravity. It's important because what I see Jesus saying. Now, here's what I see him saying, but I got a question first. How does one catch fish? There's a few ways. The most common ways are put a net out and they swim into it. And then what's the other common way? You put some, you put some bait out, right? Dangle the worm, Mel, right? Here's what I'm seeing Jesus say. Now I'm going to say this, you are the bait. You are the net. I'm going to explain that, but that's really what I'm talking about. You are the bait. You are the net. And I think that's true because the fact of the matter is, whether you have Christ in your heart, whether your love is so ebullient that people come your way, whether you're able to attract people or not, whether you are friendly or unfriendly, whether you're optimistic or pessimistic or anywhere in between, the fact of the matter is the type of fish that are in your net are a result of the type of bait you have been putting out your whole life. So it's not even about Jesus will teach you how to attract your like unto yourself. You're already doing it. You already are the bait. You already are the net. I think what Christ is saying here is we all already attract like unto ourselves. I'm going to teach you how to catch fish more like the fish you want to catch. Because you're already catching fish. You already got a net full of barnacles and bottom feeders. You're already fishing, and you're actually pretty good at it. You already got a circle of friends you don't like. Just like you don't like yourself, your friends don't like you either. Just like you think small, your pockets are small. Just like you expect to get old and debilitate, and that's what you're putting out there. That's what you're fishing for. Guess what you caught? We're already fishing. You are the bait. You are the net. We're talking about, your predominant thoughts, your actions, your reactions, our habits. It attracts a particular level of health, of wealth, of happiness. It attracts a particular experience, and we're doing it. Congratulations, you're already a fisher. And so were Peter and Andrew. But what he said was, I'm going to make you fishers of men. I'm going to teach you how to fish for people. See, you do know, I'm going to get to this, you are attracting based off of the bait that you put out. If you want to catch some different type of fish, you got to put out some different bait, right? So, fishermen, they are casting their nets out. They are casting their nets. Think about this. What does it mean to fish? What does it mean to cast your net? What is a net? A net is a tool that fishers use. It is made of fibers that are woven together into a pattern. And the pattern makes, you know what a net is, right? I just got to, the pattern, but think about it though. Fibers woven together into a pattern, interlocking knots, they make a weave shape, a mesh. You throw it out there and it gathers multiple creatures at once, right? That's what a net is, physically. I said, you are the net. Has anyone ever heard this one before? Stop me if you haven't heard this. Thoughts are things. You familiar? So, is not a thought a type of metaphysical fiber? And are not the predominant, habitual, repeating, dominant thoughts that we have, these are fibers that are woven together in patterns, aren't they? And then the patterns form a mesh, and based off of the quality of the size of the mesh, see, there's different nets, right? And how big is the space between each one? That will dictate what kind of fish you're gonna catch, right? How strong it is, that will dictate how heavy the fish you catch is. Sometimes you can catch a fish, but when you pull it up, if your net ain't strong enough, you know. You are the net, you are the bait. We all have a field of consciousness. The most atheistic medical doctor in the world must acknowledge that the electromagnetic field of the heart extends at least 6 to 10 feet out beyond a person. They can measure it. And really now you look at further stuff, there is evidence that each one of our field actually extends several miles. It really does. And can extend further. Because we've said all this before. When you pray, if I pray for someone in Alaska, part of my fiber has been localized in Alaska. So I'm there. So my field can go that far. The field is actually not limited. Now, if my field goes out 20 miles, your field goes out 20 miles, your field goes out 20 miles, your field goes out 20 miles, that actually means we're all one, actually, or at the very least, it means that we are definitely affecting one another. And isn't that true? You walk in a room, if it's a happy room, you know, you walk in, you feel it. All of their fields are touching your field. You walk in a room and it's a sad, upset, angry room. Now, is their upset stronger than your happy? Because it is possible to walk into a room. If my happiness, if my joy, if my wisdom, if my truth, if my understanding is so high, it doesn't matter what room I walk in. My field, my net, see, they casting nets too. Everybody's casting nets. But when he said, I'm going to teach you how to be fishers of men, guess what? Everybody's already fishing. But if you can build up the Christ consciousness to a point, now You're able to attract folks. You are the bait. You are the net. And it's not even about coercion. And a lot of times this scripture is taken as a church evangelistic thing. We got to go out there, we got to stick a hook in them, and we got to bring them. But no, when you really got this thing that Christ is talking about, folks are looking at you like, you know, that's how a fish looks at a piece of bait. Let's talk about that a little bit. Why fish? What makes fishing work? There's one word: hunger. Hunger is what makes the fisher go fish. Hunger is what makes the fish take the bait. If it wasn't no hunger, yeah, either the fisher wouldn't fish if he wasn't hungry, or if the fish isn't hungry, they're not taking the bait. So this is all driven by hunger. This is driven by a lack of nourishment. So what happens in the body? It's actually very similar for human beings and for fish when we get hungry. Your stomach is empty for too long. You know, your nutrients are depleted. So your body sends your brain a signal, and the body tells the brain it's time to look for some food. And anyone, you've been hungry before, right? So first you feel it here, but two things happen. One, and I don't want to get all into the different hormones and stuff, but ghrelin is the hormone that makes you feel that you're hungry. Then that also sets off a hormone called dopamine, which makes you chase a reward. That's why when you get hungry, you start going, okay, what are we going to have? There's the hunger feeling, but then there's also, okay, let's figure this out, right? So now these hormones are going off. Your brain is told to seek food, and it's like, okay, what are we going to have? How soon? When's lunch, right? And you're a little more alert. You're a little more focused. We're trying to figure this out. And that's true in the wild. When animals are hunting, it's the same thing. The hormone reminds them, hey, the nutrients are low. And then the lion in the jungle, the fish, the shark, all of them. Okay, what we're about to do here, right? This is the process, right? So the dopamine is activated, right? We're going on an adventure. You're more alert. Now the fish, when the fish is hungry, they have these receptors all over their body. Don't you know fish can tell when the water pressure changes? They can tell when something's coming their way. They can tell when a school of fish is over there. They can tell nearby movement. All of this based off of the receptors in their body. So then you put a worm on a hook and drop it in the water. As soon as it hits the water, bloop, they go. And then they go, God answers prayer. Ain't he all right? What are the odds there's a worm just sitting right here in the water? Here we go. Thank you, Jesus, right? It sees the worm. It triggers that dopamine I was telling you about. I see the reward. It's in sight. I'm going for it. And then instinctually, other hormones kick in. Now the muscles activate, and it just goes straight toward the food, the bait. Right? I'm getting the food. Now, if it gets the food, let's say there's not a hook in it yet. But when it gets the food, now it's gotten that reward that it was seeking. Now, this is for fish and for people. Now, once it gets the food, now it feels happy. That's why you're mad when you're hungry, but then you get a few bites and now you're humming. And then if you're with other people, then there's other hormones that go up. That's oxytocin. Now, you know, if the food is good, I just like the people I'm with a little bit better than when I was hungry. I didn't want to talk too much. But now, you know, it's true for fish. It's true for people. And it's true physically. It's true metaphysically. I just said, hunger is the nutrients are lacking, and something goes off that tells me you got to go figure this out. Is there not such a thing as spiritual hunger? Are there not folks, including us at times, all of us in life, meaninglessness? It's hunger. That's hunger. That's spiritual hunger. I'm feeling disconnected. That's spiritual hunger. I'm feeling emotional famine. That's spiritual hunger. And something, even a baby, that's one of the first things. You know, now when they're in the womb, they're fed through the umbilical cord, it's all good. It's probably a constant, consistent flow. But now when they get out, that's one of the first cries, isn't it? Of hunger. Now they don't even know what to do. They don't know how to go hunt. They don't know how to go to the grocery store. They don't know how to saute asparagus. They know what's happening though. And they know I'm gonna make some noise until somebody figure it out. I don't know how to prepare a bottle, but somebody is going to figure this thing out. Hunger. Folks are hungry, spiritually hungry for a divine encounter. How do you catch a fish? Why are you able to catch a fish? Because they're hungry. Jesus said, I will make you fishers of men. It only works because folks are so spiritually hungry. But what happens with people sometimes is, okay, the physical hunger comes, any fish, any person, drop a piece of bread in front of them, they look at it, they go for it. That's physical hunger. But with spiritual hunger, there are as above, so below. So there are, just like there are physical hormones that tell you you're hungry and tell you to go for it, there are metaphysical, I use the term hormones, some sort of energetic process whereby you know you're hungry. You know you're missing connection. You know you're missing a download. You know you're missing wisdom. You know you're missing the love of Christ. You know you're missing community. You know you're just hanging out with the wrong folks. You know there must be more. You know the feeling, the hormone, the metaphysical hormones are going off. But when we're not in tune, see, now the physical hormone of hunger, you can't miss it. The metaphysical hormone can be a little harder to grasp. And this is why a spiritual hunger is very common to try to satisfy it with something non-spiritual. A spiritual hunger, but I'm not in touch with the hormones the same way. Physically, when I'm hungry, I figure it out. A 2-month-old figures it out. A fish figures it out. A cockroach figures it out when they're hungry physically. But when I'm seeking connection, unless I'm in tune with those same energies metaphysically, that's why I'm gonna self-medicate. That's why I'm gonna turn to food, even though it's a wisdom thing, I'm gonna turn to food. Even though it's a spiritual connection thing, I'm gonna turn to shopping. Even though it's you see that? To try to fill the void. But now you are what you eat. I said you are the bait, you are the net. So whatever you are taking in, that's what you're able to put out. So let's talk about bait a little bit. What is bait? Bait is something that you use to attract and catch someone, something, a living creature. You put a little bit out there, what happens? So what Jesus said, I will make you fishers of people. So just back to the worm in the water. Put the worm on the hook, drop it in the water, right? I told you the fish is hungry, and the fish is like, okay, and then the fish detects when something drops in the water and they go like that, and then next thing you know, their muscles go right towards it, right? What is the bait actually doing? that it is making the fish, really there's almost no voluntary conscious, and it's the same with us when you get hungry enough, it's just stomach feels a lack of nutrients, brain's ready to go, muscles in act, I go for it. What is the bait actually doing that is causing that sort of response? Mm-hmm. That's right. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. The bait is just sitting there looking vulnerable. For one, I said you are the bait. You said vulnerable. I like that word. No, yeah, absolutely, yeah. No, I like that. The bait is just sitting there vulnerable, just sitting there available, just sitting there authentically itself. The spiritually hungry person, who's the fish, right? You're the bait. You're just sitting there looking vulnerable, looking available. That's another word for it. A fish can't help but come after a tasty morsel like you. If you're vulnerable, if you're available, if you're authentic. I told you fish, they can smell, they can tell the water pressure changes. So when someone drops something in the water, they can smell. Is that a piece of bread or is that some bird, poop? They can smell it. The fish can smell it in the water. Other folks can smell it on you. So I asked the question, what is the bait doing? Yes, the bait is vulnerable. It's available. Yes, the bait smells like something people want to eat. Yes, the bait has the type of movement to it that the fish recognizes as something that it would want to be a part of. Yes, the bait has nutritional promise to it. You are the bait, right? It has a nutritional promise. They look at it, they say, I know a worm when I see one. I know what that means. I know. And see, they're not even thinking about all this. This is all, we could call it subconscious, we could call it intrinsic, we could call it instinctual, but it's the same thing when folks are looking at you. How vulnerable are they? Is this a person I can come and talk to, or am I going to get judged up and down the street? Is this a person I can keep it real with, or are they going to put on airs and not be authentic? And you can't be spiritual unless you're authentic, as far as I'm concerned anyway. Is this a person, are they moving in such a way? I know a worm when I see one. I know whatever, a lure, a minnow. When I see one, are they moving in such a way? Do they smell like something that I might want to take part in? You're the bait. Other folks are the fish. Are they looking at you and saying, now if I engage with this, this is going to be nutritional. This is going to be valuable. Or do they look at you and recognize it's just some junk food? Or it's not fit for human consumption? All kind of little electromagnetic signals. This goes back thousands of years and beyond, how a fish sees a worm in the water and all of this goes off. It's not so different for people, metaphysically. People are May 5/25/25. How about that? I just thought, right? As a 5/25/25, it seems to me people are more spiritually hungry maybe as we've ever been as a people. If only there was something nutritional, something that I recognize as food, something that, and it's not because fish have seen it. Babies, when they're hungry, they don't even know what they want. They don't know it. They couldn't tell you exactly. Give me some milk, give me some breast milk. They don't know. They just know. And now similarly, spiritually, folks don't even really know, but they know it when they see it. You are the net, you are the bait. Right? Now here's part of that with bait. I said this before. The type of fish that you catch determined by the type of bait that you are. Trout are surface feeders. So they see they're up toward the surface. Trout see insects flying in the air and they jump out and catch them. Catfish are bottom feeders. They actually need, it's called stinky bait. They need a piece of, they need some fermented liver. They need something that's going to sink down to the bottom. See, if it doesn't sink down to the bottom, the trout is up top eating bugs out of the air. Other fish, you can just kind of throw some breadcrumbs on the surface and they swim up to the surface and they go after it. Catfish is not, if it doesn't sink all the way down, they're not even interested in it. You know, tuna, they're fast. So they need something shiny and fast moving. Bass are aggressive predators. So, like I said, they need to feel like they're chasing something. Some fish, you can just drop a piece of bread in the water, they come up to the surface. Some, you got to lure them along and chase it a little bit. Some feed off of the bottom. So the type of fish that you are attracting is based off of the type of bait that you're putting out there. That's true physically, that's true metaphysically. Another way of putting that is we're all fishing, we're all contagious one way or another, but contagious with what? You know, contagious with laughter, contagious with tears. And we're talking about contagious celebration. Your celebration, it's got to match the ecology of the people that you're trying to reach. We want youth in here. You better put out some youth bait. Youth need to learn this old stuff. Maybe at some point. But that ain't how you get the fish in the boat. That's why I curse a little bit. Just a little bit. Because that's part of the lure. People know, okay, you're keeping it real, okay. Now, if I didn't curse in real life, I wouldn't curse up here. But I want to catch fish, and I'm not demeaning anybody calling fish. We want to catch fish. I want to catch fish like me. I want to catch fish that like me, therefore I want to catch fish that are like me. Sometimes folks got to know. Because even when I was saying, there are top feeders eat bugs, bottom feeders eat stinky stuff, but one is not better than the other. They're all created by God here, and they all got the same hunger and the same function. So, you know, a lot of folks have been at the bottom, and you can't just walk by the pond and throw some cornflakes and reach the people at the bottom. Ernest Holmes put it this way: as moths to a flame, so souls to the light of truth. And Jesus said, you are the light of the world. Now, Ernest Holmes said, as moths to a flame, right? What does light do to bugs? It depends on the bug. Moths, right, yeah. Moths are drawn to light. Moths, they actually fly by the moon and the stars. Moths come out at night, and they navigate based off of the moon and the stars. That's why it's the ultraviolet light that attracts them. That's why if you light a candle or certain other lights, it will attract it to it as well. Because it's the same thing. They're just wired to be attracted to light. But it depends on the bug. So moths are attracted to light. What about worms and roaches and roly-polies? They prefer the dark. It's actually called phototaxis. Photo light, taxis like a taxi. Where are you going? Moths have positive phototaxis. No matter what they're doing, when they see the light, they just draw toward it. Roaches, worms, it's the opposite. When they see light, they go the other direction. So if you find you are attracting roaches and worms, roly-polies and slug bugs, all you got to do is turn on the light and truly let it shine. All right? That's good to know. I know some cockroaches and worms. All you got to do is be cheerful. All you got to do is when they start complaining, just don't complain. And then watch them, see if they don't run back under the rock where they came from. You are the bait. You are the actual net. You are the bait that is making this happen. Your celebration, your peace in times of pressure, your gratitude even in a time of scarcity, your joy in a time of pain. Do you understand that literally, if I maintain joy, peace, love, I am sending a neurochemical signal to others all around. Just like when you drop a worm in the water, it sends a neurochemical signal to the fish, and then the fish activates and goes for it. When we can keep the light shining, when we can keep the celebration contagious, that is a neurochemical signal to spiritually starved people. When you're physically hungry and you walk by a place and some good food is cooking, and on the cartoons they would have the smoke from the food and the people would just be floating right to it. That's your love, that's your joy, that's your peace, that's your enlightenment, that's your gratitude. Do you know that smells like life to people? Do you know, just like when a fish sees the worm, it smells like life. It smells like a possibility. It tastes like hope. It's contagious for people. And as dire as some people would say the world is, now more than ever, who will emit this metaphysical light that will call the world out of aimless, purposeless paths into a true spiritual orientation? And if that's you, like it's me, then let's agree in a word of prayer and treatment to acknowledge the source of all light, life, radiance, gratitude, grace, growth, gravity, and that's us, that we are attracting, that we are attractive based on our quality. And then the majesty of being human is that we can change that quality. We can elevate that quality. We can show up literally as whatever we imagine to be. It's a realization to answer this call to not only seek nourishment, but to seek to be a source of nourishment for others. To embody a life so lit up with grace that it awakens the hunger in others for the same nourishment. That just like disciples looked at Jesus and said, there's something about that. And just like a fish looks at food and says, there's something about that. That we may embody that bread of heaven. We can be these fishers. We can be these attractors of the best and most beautiful qualities in everyone. It's not even about certain people. It's certain qualities in all people. Be that bread of heaven. And even as we are fed, let us feed God's people till they want no more. Amen. Ashe.